All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how I work question 3 and 4. Like in the previous problem, okay, we are using all these exponent rules, all of these. Okay, we're going to have a mixture of rules, a combination of all of these rules or laws, okay? The key part here is identifying which of these laws or rules you're going to have to use. I shared with you that one of the first things I like to do is to get rid of the parentheses. So let me write this down first. First problem I have here. Okay, so we have parentheses 6 to the 4 power over 6 to the 10 power. And then I close the parentheses. There's an exponent outside, the second power times another parenthesis, 6 to the 5th power times 6 to the 3rd power, close the parenthesis. So I had two parentheses. I want to get rid of the two parentheses, each parenthesis. I'm going to go to my first parenthesis, the one I'm going to highlight here in yellow. Okay, I'm going to work with this first. All right. However, keep in mind that that parenthesis has an exponent 2 on the outside. So I'm going to have to keep the parentheses and the exponent 2 outside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with what is inside the parentheses. I cannot get rid of that parentheses yet. I'm going to do it later. Okay, because there was an exponent outside the parenthesis, and inside I have repetition of bases. And like I said in the previous video, in addition of getting rid of the parentheses, you want to get rid of repeated bases. And that's what is happening in the parentheses here. Now, because I see a fraction, that tells me that I'm going to have to apply the quotient rule, which is when you see a fraction, that's a division, that says every time you divide powers with the same base, we're going to keep the base. And in this case, my base is 6. I'm going to keep the 6. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the exponents. Okay, so 4 take away 10, use the calculator, that's going to be negative 6. So see, I did the inside of the first parenthesis. Now I'm going to go to the second parenthesis here. I'm going to highlight in green. That second parenthesis doesn't have any exponent outside, so I'm going to work the inside. And I see a repeated 6. And I'm multiplying them. That tells me that we're going to have to apply the product of a power. That you always use that rule or law when you're multiplying powers with the same base. So I'm multiplying powers of 6. So every time you multiply two powers with the same base, you keep the base, which is 6. And what you're going to do is add the exponent. That's what you're going to do. 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay? So I got rid of the second parenthesis. However, here, I still need to get rid of this parenthesis here, okay? And inside the parenthesis, I only have one base that has an exponent, and there's an exponent on the outside. And when that happens, you are working with this rule, okay? The power of a power. That basically says that every time you have a base raised to an exponent that is also raised again to another exponent, you're going to keep the base. I'm going to keep the 6. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply the exponent. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. And I'm going to finish multiplying that answer by 6 to the 8th power. But how do I multiply that? Well, because I'm multiplying powers with the same base, I'm going to use this rule, product of a power. That says when you multiply two powers with the same base, you keep the base. I'm going to keep the 6. And what you're going to do here is you're going to add the two exponents. So negative 12 plus 8, do it in the calculator if you have to. That will give you negative 4. But, like I mentioned before, your answers cannot have negative exponent. So it means I'm going to have to use this rule, the negative exponent rule. And basically, imagine that 6 is over 1, because it's really over 1, the things we don't write it. And every time you have a negative exponent, it means we're going to do the reciprocal. We're going to flip the base. So 6 over 1 becomes 1 over 6. And give back the exponent to the base 6, but the exponent is going to be positive. Okay? This is an equivalent expression as problem number 3. Most likely, they want you to simplify to the lowest possible term. Okay? Simplify as much as you can. So I can put this in the calculator, type 1, Okay, so 1 over 6 to the 4th power. And if you get an answer that looks weird, like you can see on my screen, that means this fraction is so small that it doesn't fit on the screen. And that's why the calculator is writing the answer in scientific notation. So do not type this answer. Just leave this answer you see right here. Okay, leave it like that. All right, and that's question number 3. Let's do number 4. Same idea. Let me erase this first so that I have enough space. So here's question number 4 that says parentheses. Oops, what I did there. Let me fix this. Hold on a second. Okay, so now I can write. So I have parentheses. Oh, I did it again. My gosh. Okay, let me see if I can finally write. So I have parentheses 7 to the 2nd power, close the parentheses, raised to the 7th power, times parentheses 7 to the 10th power, times 7 to the 3rd power. Again, like I did in the previous problems, first thing, try to eliminate the parentheses. Look at the first parentheses here. Inside the parenthesis, I only have one base. I'm going to be applying this rule, power of a power, that says when you have a base with an exponent raised to another exponent, keep the base. So I'm going to keep the 7. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the exponent. So 2 times 7, 14. Times, now I'm going to eliminate the second parentheses here. Okay. I'm going to work inside. So I see that I'm multiplying 2 powers with the same base. Okay. So based on this rule, product of a power, when you multiply 2 powers with the same base, you're going to keep the base. I'm going to keep the 7 because it's the same base. And what you're going to do with the 2 exponents, you're going to add them. Okay, so 10 plus 3 is 13. And now I can simplify more of this. And because I'm multiplying powers with the same base, I'm going to do the same thing that I did in the parentheses in yellow. Okay, when you multiply 2 powers with the same base, keep the base and add the exponents. I'm going to add the 14 and the 13. So I get 27. Don't put this in the calculator because if you do, you're going to get a really big number. I just want to show it to you so you believe me. Okay, to the 27 power. Look how big. When you see these weird answers, that's called scientific notation. We're going to learn that at the end of this lesson. Okay, don't put that answer in the assignment. Okay, just type 7 to the 27 power. I hope this helps.